Hi everyone, welcome to Whispering Souls. It's Ken Mason, returning back for another video. If you're interested in seeing how I became a psychic, and if you look at how you can figure out if you're a psychic as well, just go on in and I'll keep talking on the other side of the intro. If you like, please subscribe, so we can send you more videos and more information. Thank you. Hi everyone, it's Ken. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of people. I've probably given readings to well over 1,000 people, probably more, and I really can't remember. But it's been, a long 25 years, and very good 25 years, helping a lot of people. And to me, this is not about making money. I don't really make a lot of money on this, anyways. It was more about, helping people see their lives and where they can move and how they're moving forward. And Bernard's very good at letting them know what to do, and so is their spirit guide. But, of all the people and everybody I've taught, I've taught over 250 people plus, a lot of the questions that come to me says, how did I become a psychic? How did I know I was a psychic? Because a lot of people have asked that question. A lot of people think, and a lot of people, look back and say, well, there's no way for me to know. Not many people tell us, and there's a lot of people out there who just won't tell you because they don't want you to know. So I'm going to explain to you how I became a psychic, or how I became connected with Bernard, my spirit guide. Because growing up, I was very intimidated growing up. I didn't talk a lot. People didn't like me. There's a lot of things, because I just wasn't a very social person. So at one point, I remember waking up when I was 13 years old, because I kept asking why and this and that. I had a really bad dream one night where I lived in Germany, there was we were in a house, and you'd go down the street and you go over a little hill and then go into the main highway. So to get across the main highway on your bike, you'd have to obviously stop at the bottom of the hill and then cross over. So in the dream, I went over this hill and I came to it and I couldn't stop. The bike wouldn't stop. So a car was coming this way. It was a brown car. The driver had a green coat on. And what happened is that he saw me. He swerved. He hit a pole, and the car exploded, killing all 4 people. Obviously, it was a very terrifying dream for me. So I woke up, went into the bathroom, and got ready for school. And then I looked in the mirror, and most of you guys know me. I had a white eyebrow right here, this side. Sorry, this is that one. So on the 13th, so I grew up with most of my life with the white eyebrow. But to finish the story, about 2 months later, because I refused to drive my bike over the hill. So I walked it over, going to school or going to the store and that. So I walked it down, and I stopped, and then I looked over, and the same car was driving by, and inside I saw the same guy with the 3 other people. He looked at me, I looked at him. He kind of gave me this look that I knew immediately that you knew what I saw, and then he sped off. So to me, it was more of a dream to warn me that this could happen if I didn't pay attention, to use my own psychic abilities and whatnot. So that's why, I started at that point in time to kind of think about it. But when you're 13, you really don't get into it. And being very logical in school and into math and into the sciences and that, I was more of a scientific guy. I needed proof for stuff. I needed, things to be proven to me. So a lot of stuff that was going on that was happening to me, I just kind of ignored. And then after a while, you kind of look back at your life and you say, oh, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I did know what was going to be on the test, and I did know when the game was going to play, and I did know when things were going to be canceled. But again, being that age, you really don't pay much attention to it, or you just assume that everybody else does the same thing. So rolling on to when I was about 30 or so, Um, I was working for the government, and I was, software engineer and whatnot. And so I met my grandfather once, and he started talking about being a psychic, which kind of shocked me because, I didn't think that he was into being a psychic and whatnot. And he told me how he was a psychic for the government and a bunch of other people. And I said, yeah, okay, yeah, but, I don't know if I really believe him. I've never known my grandfather to lie, but it was kind of strange he'd pull up at that time. And he suddenly looked at me and says, you're going to be a psychic. And I just kind of laughed. I said, no, I don't want to be a psychic, and I'm not a psychic, and I don't really believe in it anyways. So what happened is about a couple of years later, I was in Vancouver, and I remember this very distinctly because I got in trouble with my wife for forgetting her birthday. But I remember waking up in a hotel and thinking to myself, you know what? I really have to learn about this stuff, because I kept seeing it on TV. I kept seeing it on my laptop, and it just kept popping up over and over again. And so I said, I got to, check into this. And so after really thinking I should get into it, I enrolled into school in England, internet school. And eventually, I went through it, and I, graduated as one of the top psychics, or one of the top medium people in there. And then I moved away from them and started doing my own stuff. I started wanting to teach people. I had opened up some websites, and I started, we had chat sites, and bringing people in and teaching them how to use it as well. Because it's my philosophy that everybody's a psychic. Everybody can do what I do. The difference is that I have a drive to do it every day. I want to learn every day. I want to learn stuff. And most people don't want to read other people. That's what I want to do. But everybody's a psychic for themselves. And we'll have another session on describe that on another day. So everybody can do their own psychic stuff. That's their own intuition, their own warnings, their own watching out for issues and what before it happens. So I kept going on, and I remember in the course of this thing, the lady saying, I had a spirit guide. His name was Bernard. I says, okay, well, and I didn't really pay much attention at the time, simply because, again, even though I was doing that stuff, I was never really told that Bernard was supposed to be part of it, that he was just there to protect me, to show me things, but he wasn't actually part of the readings. I said, okay, fine. So one day, I remember being at school, at work, and I was presented with a software project, and one that says, we have a problem here. Can you see if you can fix it? I said, okay. And, it was a very long one, and it could have taken me, 2 to 3 months to solve it. And I was a very impatient type of person. And I decided, I'll take a crack at it. So I was, got to about page 268 or whatever, and getting a little frustrated. And I kept hearing in my head 172. And I ignored it. I said, yeah, whatever. And I started going through it, and I, and what I tell people, and the same thing happened to me, is I start having an argument in the back of my head. And I, obviously you think you're just arguing with yourself. So then I kept hearing 172. And then the number was actually yelled at me, or yelled in my head. So I said, okay, fine. And I went back to 172, and lo and behold, there was the problem. So I solved it, and the software worked, and everybody was happy. And it only took me 3 or 4 hours instead of 2 months or whatever that was predicted. So I thought for a second, man, I'm really smart to be able to solve that. I was really proud of myself and so forth, and doing it so fast. And then I heard in the back of my head, just, you're an idiot. And so as soon as I heard that, I said, it clicked in at that point. Said, okay, that's not me that would call myself an idiot. So obviously there's somebody there. Bernard is there, but I'm still not quite able to talk to him. So, but a couple of weeks later, I was having a daydream. And the day meditation dream. And I remember being in this dream and me walking down this path, and all there was grass and forest all around me. And if I go down this path, there is a door at the end of the path. And how everybody says, if you go to the door, there's something good on it. But if you can't reach the door, or if it seems to go further away from you, then you're not ready to get to the door. So as I'm trying to get to this door, I realize that this door is not getting any closer to me, so obviously there's something else here for me, or I'm obviously not supposed to get to the door. So I heard something behind me, and I looked back, and there's a cougar, a black cougar behind me. So, getting nervous, I started walking down the path and started kind of mini jogging and whatnot. And I look back, and now the cougar's jogging after me, and I'm saying, oh great, now I'm going to be attacked by a cougar. And just to the right, I see a bunch of boulders piled up on top of each other. I said, okay. I ran over to the boulders, climbed up to the top, thinking, hey, I got away from the cougar. And then again, that voice came into my head that said, cougars can climb as well. I said, oh shit. And I turned around to jump off, and there was Bernard standing in front of me. And he says, I've been looking for you. And then, of course, I got out of my meditation, and all of a sudden, ever since then, I've been able to talk to him, and he's been able to connect to me and call me idiot every so often. And, he likes calling me an idiot just because there's a lot of times I'm an idiot. And, I really don't blame him for calling me an idiot. So one of the things, one of these journeys I've had to learn, obviously, is that how to control your ego. There's a whole bunch of times in this path that I've been on, and that I've been very egotistical, or very pushing people down and whatnot. And just simply a lot of that is because of my fear of not being that good, or hurting people, or not being able to be very helpful. But after a while, Bernard showed me how to control that ego and how to get rid of it. It's not to get rid of your ego, it's to manage your ego so that you are confident in yourself and yet not thinking you're better than other people. Because the moment you think you're better than other people is the time you start to lose your abilities. And I know there's a whole bunch of people that are mediums that I know that are very, very condescending, very egotistical. I don't know how they read, if they're good readers or not, because I don't get readings from them. And I don't listen to people. But most psychics that are very egotistical and whatnot just are not that great readers, because of their ego. Anyway, so if what you do is, if you think you can, if you want to be a reader, if you want to read other people, what you kind of have to do is start looking back, like I did, into your past, and start, if things happen that you thought were normal. And one of them, of course, is, did you run out of your bed every night and try to sleep with your parents because you felt something was in your room, monster or people in your room or whatnot, when you're trying to sleep when you're a kid? Were you able to predict things? Were you able to look at, say, hey, I knew what my class score was going to be. Hey, I knew when the game was going to be played. I know that something was going to go wrong, or something was wrong in the family, that, somebody said, hey, we're going to get together at a specific time, and you instantly know that wasn't going to happen. Look at that as being a kid. Look at it as a teenager. Teenagers is a lot less, because obviously the hormones are flying like crazy, and you're not paying attention to anything other than what your hormones want. But as you get older, in your 20s and 30s, you start getting more, especially when you have your own kids. Especially females will have a very strong, very, very strong connection to their kids, where fathers won't. And I'm not talking physical connection, or being, loving connection. I'm talking about spiritual connection. And so you start to, with kids, start to realize, before a kid wakes up, oh, the kid's waking up, or you'll have a message in your head that says, oh, there's something happened with my child at school, or just little things that are going to happen that you're going to say, maybe I am aware of things more than other people. And it's not just the psychic part. You might be the healer. You might, get messages. You may get people sitting beside you all the time and telling you their whole world's problems without you even wanting to know about it. Mediumships, you may get woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or you may see things out of the corner of your eye. So if all of these are happening, then you gotta kind of realize that perhaps I do have that ability, but is that ability strong enough to be able to read people? That's where you have to practice. That's where you have to decide and say, does this make me feel comfortable? Because reading other people opens you up to things that you may not want to know, very simply. And then, you have the whole ethical thing about reading other people that some psychics don't follow. You know, you have to tell them things that you're not supposed to tell them, or you're not supposed to tell them, so you keep quiet. But again, that's a whole new thing. But in short, that's basically how I became a psychic. It's just, you know, once I started training, I did reads every single day. You know, when I first started, my readings were crap, pure crap. And people used to say, "Oh, you got this right, but this isn't even close, but no, maybe a little touch here or there." And I said, "Okay, fine," but it was a start. And then, you know, over the 2 or 3 years that I practiced, I, you know, did 3 or 4 people a day. I went on the internet, started reading people on the internet, just to see if I can read people without people being near me, which is another key, whether you can be a psychic or not. And so, you know, over, like I said, over 1,000, probably 1,500 reads I've done in my life, and even more probably. I've been able to find out that, or put that little finesse into it. That allows me now to be more of a compassionate reader, more of an ability to touch things that I wasn't able to touch before. Every read that I have teaches me something. You know, like every person that comes here will always teach you something more. So, you know, if you have that ego saying nobody can teach me anything, then you're going to be dead in the water, because every single person who walks in will teach you something new every single time. Something you didn't know that you could do. Yeah, so that's just the way it is. So that's how I became a psychic. That's how I'm still a psychic now. My readings, if anybody's interested in readings or whatnot, but my readings are a little different than other people. I do the tarot. I start with the tarot. I bring in spirit guides. They'll talk to you about your spirituality, where you're headed with it, what abilities you have. They bring in past loved ones. Bernard talks about health and family issues and stuff that's outside the spiritual stuff. And then I finish the read off with the archangel cards. So anyway, so if you're interested in passing that on or coming in for the reading, you know, that's basically what I do. It's usually 30 to 45 minutes. Again, we have a money back guarantee, so if so you're not happy, and you don't have to pay for it. Anyway, so good night. We'll see you in the next video. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of new stuff now after we've done the, you know, the intro and all that stuff that you have to do, kind of thing, before you can get into the really fun stuff. And, you know, it's really just, I know this is probably pretty boring and whatnot. So, but you know, the next videos we're going to start in how to see spiritual stuff and how to recognize spiritual events in your life, as well as becoming a spirit. So, talk to you next time. Bye.